Welcome to this tutorial on tablet weaving for beginners. I am going to walk you through how to weave this belt with tools you probably have at home. This was originally posted as an Instagram series, hence why it's in portrait mode. But this YouTube version contains all the parts in one single video because this platform is better for pausing and going back and forth and so on. We're going to start by looking at the tools needed and also make ourselves some cards. You're going to need 2 colors of yarn, more on this in the next part. You also need 2 belts or ropes or ribbons for your waist and for your foot. You need scissors, a pen, toothpicks, and bag clips or hair clips. Oh, and you're going to need a paper punch. Most importantly, you're going to need 18 cards. You can make these from recycled cardboard boxes or a deck of cards. The material you choose needs to be sturdy and with integrity, but not thick like wellpaper. 5 to 8 centimeters big is usually a good size. You cut them square, but with rounded, smooth corners. Now punch a hole in each corner with a paper punch or something like that. One way of finding a good distance is to draw an X and a circle on your card and punch where those two overlap. The holes need to be close enough to the border that the threads are properly spread out, but not so close that the card will tear apart. It's very important that all the holes are in the exact same spot, so use the first card you made as a template for the rest. Then you're going to mark all the holes from A to D, going clockwise. Do this on all cards. Then mark each card with a unique number from 1 to 18. I'm going to use my old cards for this, so I'll mark those. And now that you have all the equipment you need, we're going to start cutting our threads. Exact thickness of your yarn is not important as long as both colors are the same. The thinner the thread, the thinner the finished ribbon will be. Both of these bands are woven with the exact same pattern, but as you can see, the thinner thread gave me a thinner band. Decide which thread is going to be your background color, preferably a lighter one, and then choose which is going to be the contrasting color. Then decide how long you want the ribbon to be, for example 1 meter, and then add around 50 centimeter extra. I want to weave 2 meters, so I need to cut threads that are 2.5 meters long. Find something in your home you can wrap your threads around to get the desired length. Chairs are usually a really good option if turned upside down. I personally use my rocking chair. Tie the end of your main color to your warping station and wind it round and round until you have 36 rounds. Then take your contrast color and do the same, but this time only do 26 rounds. When you're done, you can use bag clips or hair clips to secure the ends before cutting through all of them. To keep the threads from tangling, you can take one end, make a loop like this, and then braid it in the same way as you crochet. Put your hand through the loop, grab the yarn and pull through, then repeat again and again until you have a more manageable amount of threads left to deal with. Place a bag clip on the last loop to keep it from untangling. Next up, we're going to thread our cuts. This part is a bit finicky, so take a deep breath and pay close attention. For this pattern, we're going to be following this diagram. I'll put references to where you can find written instructions to this pattern in the caption. As you can see, we have 1 column for each card and 1 box for each hole. We also have a note for if the card should be threaded with an S twist or a Z twist. This is because depending on how you thread your cards, the pattern is going to lean slightly to the left or the right, and you want to make sure that direction is in line with the pattern. Threading is perhaps the trickiest part of tablet weaving, so be very careful about getting all of these steps correctly. And this is important. Never ever let your cards move so they flip or switch places. Keep them neatly stacked at all times with their numbers facing upwards and all A-holes in the same place. Gosh, what a utopia that would be in real life, am I right? Anyways, we're going to start with card number 1. As you can see, it has 4 threads of the same color, so easy. And we're going to thread it with an S twist, which means going from the back to the front. When we've threaded all of those 4 holes, we will do card number 2. This time 4 threads of the lighter color, but with a Z twist, so going from the front to the back this time. Stack them neatly on top of each other, numbers facing up, all A-holes in the same place. Repeat this for card 3 and 4 according to the diagram, mindful of the S versus Z. I'm Swedish, it's hard to say Z. Now that we have our first 4 cards, we come to the tricky bit. The actual pattern. If you look at card 5, you can see it also has grey boxes. These are empty holes. So we're going to leave hole A empty, then thread the lighter color through B back to front. Then we take our darker color for hole C, still back to front, and lastly hole D will get the lighter color. Keep doing this for all the cards in the deck. So card 6 is still an S-twist, meaning back to front, but starts with a lighter color, then a dark, then light, and then empty. Keep going like this until you have all your cards threaded. Notice that cards 5 to 9 are all threaded from back to front, and cards 10 to 14 are front to back, while the edges alternate between S and Z twist. When you're done, I want you to grab the cards family and then gently comb the threads with your fingers to make sure they lie smoothly. Clamp down one bag clip on all threads on one side, then 2 on the other side, first on the top threads and then the bottom threads. This will keep your cards in order. Now please double check that you threaded everything correctly, mindful of both colors and directions of the twist. I like to check one thing at a time, so direction first, making sure all S's and Z's are correct, and then I check the colors so they are in the right holes. Last prep before weaving. We're going to start with fixing our tension. Start by taking the ends of the threads, lining them up carefully. Then take a piece of sturdy string or similar. Take the ends and tie them in a firm knot around this string. Tie the string around a belt and temporarily tie it around something sturdy like a table leg. Then unclip the clips and move the cards close to the knot, making sure they stay in order. Gently comb the threads to make sure they are super even. It's very important that your tension is even over all the threads. Then put the bag clips back on. Once you have that, tie a slip knot by looping the threads, putting your hand through and grabbing the threads and pull them through to form a new loop. It's important that you grab the threads from the side that doesn't hold your cards, otherwise the loop will not work. This will give you a sturdy knot that can easily be undone later. Either make the loop big enough to slip onto your foot, or put your other belt through that loop. Find yourself somewhere comfy to sit. Secure the first belt, the one close to your cards, around your waist, and then slip the loop over your foot, or the belt connected to that loop. If it's uncomfortable for you to use your back and foot as tension, you can also tie your weaving to something sturdy in your house and weave from there. You want to make sure your threads are always under good, even tension. If they are not, you need to redo your slip knot. Anyways, now we're finally ready to start weaving. When you start, you should have hole A and B upwards. I want you to slide your cards back and slide your fingers in between the upper threads and the lower ones. Pull your finger towards you as far as you can and then place a toothpick there. Now grab all your cards family and rotate them one step towards you so that now you have hole B and C upwards instead. Repeat this process, sliding your finger in between the top and bottom, placing a toothpick and then rotate again. Do this until you've placed 4 toothpicks. Now rotate the cards again and grab a piece of yarn of your darker color and slide the end in, leaving a little tail on one side. Rotate your cards, slide your finger, and then pop your thread through again. To get an even band, you want to leave a little loop of your yarn on one side while you rotate and then split the threads with your fingers. Pull the yarn fully through after you have done this, just before passing the yarn through the new pathway you've made. This is to keep the width of the band even. Keep doing this over and over again, passing your yarn through, rotating, splitting a new pathway, slipping your yarn through, rotate. Then you will see a pattern of arrows begin to form. If they aren't, something has gone wrong. Double check that all your cards have the numbered size facing the same way and that all your holes are aligned correctly. If you can see arrows, great! After doing these arrows for a bit, you will notice that the threads on the other side of your cards will have gotten very twisted. To remedy this, you can change direction and start rotating away from you instead. You always want to change direction when your cards have holes A and B facing upwards. Changing direction at this point will give you little I's and X's in the pattern. If you wish, you can simply weave a whole band playing around with only these shapes. You can even combine one I with half an X to make a fish pattern. But we are here to learn the actual Birka pattern. So in the next part, I'll teach you how to move on to that now that you know the basics of weaving. Also remove the toothpicks after a while, they're just there to start you off. Remember, the first time you do this, there are bound to be mistakes, so give yourself some grace. If you ever forget if you're turning towards you or away from you, you can look at the arrows. If the arrow is pointing towards you, then you are in the middle of turning towards you. If the arrow is pointing away from you, you are turning away from you. I lose track all the time. Now that you've learned the basics of tablet weaving, I'm going to teach you the next step, which is learning how to read a turning diagram. First, you're going to make sure that holes A and D are facing upwards this time, not A and B. Then look at this diagram. As you can see, it has columns for each card and an arrow indicating if you should turn the cards towards you or away from you. You'll notice that on some rows, not all cards are turning the same way. Notice that it's always the full cards in the middle that deviate from the rest. My 4 middle cards are white, as you can see, to make them stand out, so it'll be easier for you to keep track of those. This diagram only shows the middle section of cards, so not the single colored sides, so only card 5 to 14. We're going to turn our edges the same way as the majority of the other cards for simplicity's sake. Now, look at the first row. Card 10 and 11 should be turned away from me while the rest turns towards me. You can slide those 2 cards away and turn the rest, then turn those 2 cards separately and slide them back into place. We will repeat this process for row 2 as well. Slide cards 10 and 11 away, turn all others towards you and those 2 away from you, and slide them back in. For row 3 and 4, you can see we're turning all cards towards us. Then row 5 and 6 turns away from us. For row 7, we're going to separate card 8 and 9 and slide those towards us while the other cards slide away from us. Then repeat this for row 8. And that is the whole pattern. Double check that hole A and D are again facing upwards on all your cards. Repeat these rows over and over again and it will give you this braid-like pattern. We're going to look at how to do this section. For that we need 2 new diagrams, which look like this. Make sure you've finished the full section of the last diagram so that A and D are facing upwards. Then start with this diagram. As you can see, the first 4 rows are the same as in the old diagram. So let's start with those. Once we have those, you can see that the next 8 rows are simply turning all the cards away from you. Super simple. After we've done that, we'll look at the next diagram, and as you can see, we start with 8 rows turning towards us. Again, super simple. And then the last 4 rows are the same as the last 4 rows of our first diagram. So if you look at this band, you can see that I have 1 section of the bottom diagram, 3 repeats of the middle one, and then followed by the top diagram. And you can use these as you wish. Maybe you only want 1 middle section before breaking the braid, or maybe you want a really long middle section. It's all up to you. I've personally done 3 repetitions on this one. And now we're almost done with this tutorial. In the next part, I'll show you how to detangle your mess, and we'll talk about neater edges as well. After weaving for a bit, you'll notice that your threads have tangled, and especially the 4 middle ones are going to be very twisted. This means that once in a while, you're going to have to deal with that. Simply slide a card towards you as far as you can, put bag clips on, then tie your band to something. A table leg or your foot, for example. Then undo your slip knot and carefully begin to untangle your threads. Once you're done, make sure to get a nice even tension before making a new slip knot. You'll also need to readjust your band every now and then, untying it at your waist and retying it closer to your body, as well as moving the slip knot further and further back. Eventually there's going to be so little thread left that you can't even make a slip knot. At that time, tie a regular knot and slip a piece of string in so you can tie that to a belt around your foot. If you want to level up your weaving, you can also work on neater edges. As you can see, these are not very even. To get nice smooth edges, you need to turn the cards on your edges the same direction for as long as possible. That means that even though you keep changing direction for the cards in the middle, the cards on your end should always be turned the same direction until the threads are so twisted that it's no longer possible, and then you change and start turning them the other direction for a long while. This is a future thing though if you want to level up. In the beginning, that's just confusing to keep track of. Okay, almost done. In the next part, we'll finish up our edges and then we're done. When you simply can't turn your cards anymore, you're going to cut them loose. Cut close to the knot and remove the cards. There are many different ways of finishing the edges, but I'll show you 2. One method is simply to braid the ends. For this, you may need to undo some of the first rows of the weaving you did. Anyway, take a few strands of yarn and braid, then tie a knot at the end. Repeat this until all yarn is braided. Simple as that. If you prefer a straight edge, you can instead just cut the yarn ends off close to the weave, then fold in the ends on itself and stitch it down. Basically just hemming the edge, just like you might with fabric. If you're going to attach the band as trimming on clothing, you could just leave the ends raw and then tuck them in on themselves when you attach the trimming, like I have done on this dress, as you can see. Whichever method you choose, you can just chop away the beginning of the band if you're not happy with it. There are bound to be more mistakes in the beginning. It is yours to do with as you please. Your first band might not turn out great, but think of it as practice. You'll soon get the hang of it, I promise. And that was all. What is it they say? Thank you for watching, and good luck. I hope this was helpful. Again, in the caption, I'll put information on where you can find written instructions for this band. Bye.